Well, welcome everyone to this latest edition of Stories for Healing. As you know, this is a program that started in the end of October, and here we find ourselves now in 2021, still moving forward with this wonderful project. Um, Storytellers from around the world come to tell stories of healing and reconciliation, of growth. And today I'm very pleased to be able to introduce you to Phyllis Blackstone, who has a wonderful story for us. So please, Phyllis, tell us a story.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for zooming in to listen to my story today. I am Phyllis Blackstone. I live in Brunswick, Maine. I've been a storyteller for a long time. The story I'd like to tell you today is a personal story, but perhaps some of you can relate to it, and I hope that it will give you a message for the new year. Ah, here we are in December. So many festivals and celebrations and holidays at this time of year. And many of those holidays involve gift giving occasions. Well, I was thinking about gifts that I would like to receive, so I took the opportunity to make a list of gifts that I would like to receive, and if any of you are so choose to, perhaps you would like to give me one of these gifts. Oh, I'm very easy to buy for. I'm not very fussy at all. I like designer gifts, and I could use another Gucci bag. Or jewelry. Oh, how I love jewelry. Jewelry of all kinds. It doesn't matter to me. Diamonds, emeralds, rubies. They're all very special. And I always say to my lady friends, accessorize and moisturize. That's all we've got left, ladies. Accessorize and moisturize. Or perhaps you would like to give me a cruise. Oh, after this pandemic is over, I would love to sail around the world on a cruise ship, stopping at all of the exciting ports of call around the world. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. I don't expect you to give me any gifts this year. If you just gave me the basic 3 gifts, I would be perfectly happy. You know, the basic 3 gifts, the 3 gifts that are always appropriate and always welcome, no matter who receives them. Oh, some of you look confused. Oh, the 3 gifts, the 3 basic gifts. The welcoming eyes, the friendly smile, and the thoughtful word. The basic 3 gifts that are always welcome. Well, I didn't always know about those 3 gifts myself. Let me tell you how I learned about them. It was a good 20 or so years ago now that my husband of 20 years informed me that he would be leaving our marriage because he had found someone else with whom to share his life. I was in pain. I had a pain that went from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, and then it traveled up and landed like a big, heavy stone in my heart. And it stayed there for months and months and months. So what does one do when something like this happens? I'll tell you what one does. One gets up the next morning and goes to work because one has responsibilities and people are depending on you getting the job done. And there are bills to be paid and things to care for. So that's what I did. I got up morning after morning and I went to work. I did the best I could. My co-workers were thoughtful and considerate. I started to receive some counseling and I started to create a new story for my life. Day after day, I plodded through. And after some months, I began to feel a little better. But then, there are just some days when everything goes wrong and you end up as if you're at the beginning again. There was one day like that at work. It was a stormy and a gray day. Things had been difficult at work. Situations had to be resolved, and it was a hard day. And by the late afternoon, I was feeling very sad, very depressed, and just totally bad. As I was driving home, I was going through a list of things in my head. What could I do to make myself feel better? Because I'm responsible for myself. Then I knew, yes, I knew what to do. Freshly brewed coffee. Yes, sir. That's what I like. When I'm feeling low, I love the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Oh, I thought I will stop at McDonald's. There's one on my way home, and I will get some freshly brewed coffee. As I got out of the car in the McDonald's parking lot, I remember thinking to myself, I hope someone smiles at me today. And I walked in thinking, oh, I'm going to cry. I got into line and there were some people ahead of me, and I stood there and thought, oh, Phyllis, don't cry, don't cry. You don't want to cry in public. That would be so embarrassing. And then I thought, well, oh, this isn't going to work. Just get out of the line, just leave and go home. But Oh, my legs felt so heavy, and I just couldn't seem to move out of the way. So I just stayed in the line, trying not to cry and trying to contain my sadness. And I said, "Oh, Phyllis, focus on something else. Think about something else." So I looked at the young girl behind the counter. She was a young teenager. Oh my goodness, look at her hair. I didn't know one could get so many different colors in one's hair. Oh, are those piercings? I didn't know you could get piercings there or there. And the tattoo, it was a tattoo that started at one hand and went up her shoulders and around her neck and down the other arm. Wow, I thought, that must have taken a long time. Well, before I knew it, it was my turn. And I stepped up to the counter, and this young teenager with the multicolored hair and the multiple piercings and the ivy from one arm to the other looked at me right into my eyes, and with a welcoming eyes and a friendly smile, she said, "How can I help you today?" That's when I knew the three gifts, the three basic gifts: the welcoming eyes, the friendly smile, the thoughtful word. It's all I needed on that day to lift my heart. The three gifts, that's all we need as we make our way through this new year. Thank you very much.
Phyllis, that's so wonderful, so powerful, powerful a story. Oh, I really, um, so many people have had those kinds of challenges, and they're unique to each of us, of course. But what was it that made you feel like I need to turn this into a story? I mean, you got what you needed from that woman, and that was certainly wonderful and lovely and beautiful. But why? At what point did you say I'm going to turn this into a story?
Well, it is a true story. And that time during which my marriage broke up and I had to learn to create a new story for myself, that was a very difficult time. And I know that many people experience similar feelings when they're going through this kind of a transition. I created the beginning of the story as a humorous kind of start to the story, suggesting that, yes, these are the gifts I would like. and of course making them so outlandish. Um, I hope to create humor. I think humor has always been a part of my stories, and I like to start with humor.
Sure.
So that's why I started with the Christmas list of gifts. And then I go into that awful pain. And this situation did happen that I did stop at the McDonald's. And I do remember thinking to myself, will someone just smile at me today?
Yeah.
That's all I want. I do remember that very clearly. And then I chose the young girl behind the counter because McDonald's often does hire young teenagers. And I wanted to present her as a person we would think would be the most unlikely to give such a valuable gift
Yeah.
to a suffering adult.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me that illustrates really the art of story crafting. And you certainly also illustrated the art of storytelling, but you didn't just recite what happened to you. You were thoughtful about what parts you included and didn't include, and starting with humor, all those things that turn storytelling into a craft, um, really come together so well. And yet we're left with the heart of the story, which is those three most important gifts. And I don't know a better way to learn them. Thank you.
There is a challenge to telling a personal story like this. I had to wait until I could take myself, my subjective self,
Hmm.
outside of the story
Yeah.
and look at the story objectively.
Yeah.
If I had tried to tell the story while I was still in that pain, there would be so much personal pain that would become evident that my poor audience would feel like they had to take care of me.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
And so I knew that in fairness to my audience, that I needed to take an objective stance and put it out as an objective story, even though it is a personal story.
I absolutely. And the artistry of keeping the personal there, but also weaving it with the objective is what makes it really such a wonderful story.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you again. And now to the audience, this is why we have this series, because we get to hear wonderful stories, whether they're personal stories like we've just heard, or folk tales, or wherever they come from. When you tell a story with an open heart and an open hand and a friendly smile and a kind word, it really does make a difference. You can share these stories with other people, either from the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. Um, you can share stories with each other. But remember to use those three gifts with you as you do tell them, because that's what will make the difference. So until the next episode, I'm really glad you came by. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye bye.